This is a gift to Spanish-speaking people. I know that many people in South America, for instance, are not so good at English, so I will use a program called Subtitle Edit, and with that program, I can make Spanish subtitles to English videos. I do that already for Swedish people, that I translate English videos into Swedish. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I will be very, very happy if you do that. And I will give you a link down here to my channel. And I know I am not very good. I'm not good at Spanish. I don't know anything about Spanish language. So I know that this translation can be a little funny sometimes, but I think you will understand most of what the video is about. And I will start with a video from Alex Jones and InfoWars, and his thoughts about the war in Ukraine. So by that, I say thank you, and I hope that you will follow my channel.
This is about as close to a ground war, as a pure ground war, as you're going to get. And now they're just going to take the last few cities and towns that was Putin's original goal in the east of Ukraine as a buffer zone controlling the east and the south of Crimea. And then he will harden those points and declare that the war is over. But don't think for a minute the West and Zelensky are going to stop. So all Putin's done is move the front lines of the war that's been going on for 9 years, the proxy war, then a hybrid war, now a pure hot war, leading to possible nuclear war. All he's done is driven those lines 50 to 100 miles, to the case of Crimea, 200 miles in the south into Ukraine proper. And so the war is not going to end anytime soon, and Putin has boxed himself into a corner, but so has the West, because we're going to get to articles where Europe has spent hundreds of billions of dollars trying to hide the real cost of energy and things from the population, bring them deeper into debt, but they still can't hide it. And then as the West pumps in more and more heavy weapons, this is just going to continue to escalate and only ends bad if it doesn't stop now. This is called a stalemate, and nobody wins but the central banks that consolidate power and control and get people in deeper debt. Russia has already begun its expected spring offensive in Ukraine, sending thousands of additional troops in an attempt to overwhelm Ukraine's defenses. NATO Security Secretary General said yesterday evening. So there you have the head of NATO saying the new offensive began yesterday. Let's go ahead and look at this report out of USA Today, also republished in Yahoo News. Little by little, they are winning. Tide turns in key Ukraine city, which is the Stalingrad type of battle that we saw from World War II happening, repeating in Ukraine. Updates as Russian offensive begins. So USA Today is about as CIA as it gets. I'd say the thoroughbred is obviously the Washington Post. But when you look at this, what did I tell you 3 days ago? What did I tell you 2 days ago? What did I say yesterday? I said about 3 weeks ago, I believe that the Russians will launch their second big offensive of the last year, a much larger offensive with 500,000 troops and 2,000 plus tanks and armored vehicles. before the anniversary on the 24th, just from researching things and making my dead reckoning assumption. And then I said that I believe the offensive has already begun and that Putin is not going to announce it because of political fallout. That's how you would up the ante in an invasion, but not try to up the threat continuum to the next rung on the ladder. And now mainstream press from CNN to ABC News to USA Today to you name it are saying that the invasion, the second big offensive, has begun. Just like I told you last October, I believe the Russians would invade by the end of February. And of course, that happened. Again, just pointing out that God gave us interesting minds, didn't he? When I just go with my deep research and then just lean back and say, I believe the invasion has already begun. The second invasion has begun. The answer is correct, isn't it? That's not being grabbed out of the air. That's called knowledge and wisdom to be able to then make that analysis. And all of you obviously have that to some degree, many of you more than I do. That's why it's important for you to stand up and be leaders in your area, whether it's to 10 people or 1,000 or 1,000,000, because that's how we change the world. And the globalists are all about making you feel stupid and ineffectual so you won't be on the field of reality and on the battlefield of minds. And again, this is pretty much purely a ground war now. The Russians have been using missiles to take out Ukrainian infrastructure and weapons. But because they got hurt so badly by the giant stockpile of Western high-tech ground-to-ground, ground-to-air missiles, you're not seeing a bunch of Russian aircraft and helicopters flood in like you saw last time. We did call that one. I think that's called nailing it. I'm not bragging or anything. It's just I really thank God for the brains we've been given. I know a lot of you got good brains too. Why don't we use them? Little by little, they are winning. Tide turns in Ukraine city and many other battlefield areas. USA Today. U.S. Today. Little by little, Russia is winning key ground war. French historian, World War III has already begun. I agree with that statement. Former president of Italy and current member of parliament blames Zelensky. Berlusconi blames Zelensky for Ukraine war. All he had to do was stop attacking the Donbass, and this would not have happened. Putin told them that. He told him that. We will not enable escalation of conflict that may lead to World War III. Elon Musk tells off lefty astronaut Scott Kelly at the Super Bowl to stop pushing for the end of the world. Paranoid Putin only travels by special armored trains as he fears an assassination. You have world leaders calling for his assassination, U.S. senators, you name it, and then he's paranoid? Okay. You're not paranoid if you're protecting yourself and they're out to get you. Biden suddenly orders release of another 26 million barrels for the strategic oil reserve, not for America, but for China, the lowest the strategic oil reserve has ever been. Ron Paul wrote an excellent article that's on Infowars.com for the Ron Paul Institute that we'll be reading later in the next hour. I want to read the whole thing. It's not that long, but it's very important. How we can stop the coming war with Russia, Ron Paul. Tanker rates on oil tankers to haul gasoline soar 400% after the Russian sanctions, not hurting us, is what Biden claims, but it is hurting the American people big time. You can look at the prices there and see that for yourself. So when they claim the war isn't hurting the people, that's a lie. Here's an example. Europe has spent 792 billion euros to shield citizens from energy crisis using government money to buy the energy and then passing it on, but that still is going to be paid in taxes and in interest later. 792 billion. Yeah, not hurting the people. Charting the global decline in consumer confidence. Big article from Zero Hedge on that. Russian nuke bombers fly near Alaska as Putin taunts U.S. after UFO was shot down. Russia abandons wartime. Russians are leaving and abandoning wartime Russia in historic exodus because they know how dangerous World War III is. And it goes on and on from there.